So does anyone remember how True Father used to match people? Can I see a raise of hands? That? Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know, and that's how my parents were matched. My father's German and my mother's English, so you can imagine that was a difficult marriage. But when he put them together, like, good luck. So from a very young age, I was inspired by my parents' matching story and the sacrifices that they made to join our movement. As I mentioned, my mother and father, they're English and German. You can see them just right there. Within Tomar, my kids, my brother. And yeah, so from about, oops, use the scroll, okay. So from about 10 years old, I knew I wanted to get matched in the same way that they got matched. I wanted True Father to physically match me together. But I was very sad when Father passed away in 2012, as I felt I had just missed my chance, because I was 19 years old, and I was waiting until I was 20. That was the minimum age. Fortunately, I was able to attend True Father's Sunghwa ceremony in Korea and see Father's body, which was nice. Anyway, they started to do True Parents matchings again, but with True Mother, I think after 1 year, and I decided that I want to go. So I made serious preparations for about 1 year for the blessing and matching in March 2015. Attack one, the easy way out. So during my preparations for the matching, I was doing many difficult conditions. So I was doing 40 minutes of exercise every day, and I did the 7-day fast, and then I also fasted on Sunday for 12 weeks, which was very difficult. And I was also doing a prayer condition for 40 minutes every day, and cold showers also, which was very difficult for me. But I felt like I needed to do this, otherwise I couldn't go. I couldn't accept anyone that True Mother was going to match me with. And yeah, every week I was gaining more peace, more confidence that I could allow True Mother to choose for me. So leading up to the matching, suddenly, I think about 2 weeks before, a close friend from university, she said, "I love you." I'm like, "What? I've got my tickets booked to Korea. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?" Yes, that's better. Thank you. And then, like maybe a week or a week and a half before my flight, another mum whose daughter I was friends with for a long time growing up together, she asked my mother to go for coffee. How about our children get matched together? So many confusing things, like how do I deal with this information? Anyway, so I was confused, and I didn't know, was this God? Was this Satan? Like who is this? Maybe you can relate to that feeling of like something bad happening or something good. Is this God? Who is this right now? So I had a long prayer in the park near my home. And anyway, I decided that the right path for me was to go to Korea. The easy path for me was, these other temptations, these other options. I had already decided, God had already told me that this was the right path for me. So then I attacked two. I went to the airport to go to Korea. This is me on one of the one of the planes I took, I think 5 planes that day. 5 planes. I should have only taken 3, but I ended up taking 2 more. I said goodbye to my family at the airport, and then you have to shift to, okay, do I have my passport, my bag, all the logistical nonsense while you're my matching. And got on the plane, arrived in Finland. Anyone been to Finland? Just the airport. Me too. Me too. But it has a memory in my mind because in Finland was the layover, and the staff came up to me and she asked me, "Do you want to change your flight for $500? Would you change your flight for $500?" No, but I was 20, so I said yes. I said yes, which was a bit silly, but sometimes the flights are full and then someone has to change. In the end, I didn't know where they were going to send me, but they sent me right back to England in the same airport. So I traveled for 10 hours and I arrived back in England. And you can imagine my feeling like, what am I doing back here? I went back out through security. You have to go out of security and you're back in the and looking at the board. What am I doing here? It's a good question, right? Like, God, why did you take me to halfway and then pull me back? Now, what are you doing with me? And then I finally got on my flight to Korea. And this is when I think I took this photo because I was so annoyed at myself. Like, what am I doing? I can't believe that I put myself through this situation. But then attack 3 happened. If it couldn't get any worse. So I landed in Korea. It was freezing cold. It was February. And I was happy that I was just 4 hours. I did the math and I was only 4 hours behind, even though it was like a lot of stress and everything. It was 4 hours later than I should have arrived. Not bad. But I found out that my airline lost my bag with all my stuff, my suit, my toothbrush, everything. And so I only had, well, these clothes, t-shirt, jumper, whatever. And at this point, it seemed like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. So anyway, the bag, it was consuming my mind, and they said that they would send someone with the bag with a taxi all the way to Chongpyeong. And I was like, okay, let's see. But anyway, I arrived in Chongpyeong, and I was sleeping with the staff because there were very few international members. I think maybe like 7, 10 or something. And out of the whole group, there was 200, 250 members. So it was Japanese. And I was the only white, okay, 90% Asian. But I was used to that by now. Hey, it's our movement. So, but anyway, I was sleeping in the staff room, and that was actually really good because I was separated from everyone else, and the staff, they let me focus on my conditions and so on. And I was extremely jet lagged. The bag was, you're sleeping because you're jet lagged. Oh, my bag. And that was a nightmare. And then and then finally the next day, I went downstairs. They said it would arrive there, and it arrived there. Koreans, I don't know. That would never happen in England. The bag's just there. And so I didn't include it, but I have a picture of my bag at that time. And then when something leaves your shoulder, you can let go. That's When I saw my bag, I was like, okay, now I can think again about the matching, finally. And so I had one full day the next day. And the funny thing is, my wife, I wasn't going to mention this, but her testimony is even more strange. When I picked up my bag, she saw me at that moment, and she changed her mind from being matched to a Korean to being matched to me then. Okay. And I didn't know her. I didn't see her. Okay. I just got in the elevator. So strange. And anyway, my bag came. I shaved myself, I put on my suit just to make sure my suit is there and I know what I'm doing for the next day. And now I had to focus on internal things. I had one full day. So the third day was the day before the matching. And it was go time. It was go time. Tomorrow is the day. Early in the morning, I climbed a random mountain, not the mountain with the tree of blessing. I don't know why. I just climbed a random mountain, and I did my 40-minute prayer condition on that mountain. The mountain was quite nice because you could see the Chonjeongung Palace. Has anyone been to inside the Chonjeongung? Yeah. For those of you who don't know, it's a large white palace on the side of a mountain where many of our church events happen, and that's where the matching was going to happen the next day. And so I could see it from very far away on this other mountain, and I was doing my prayer. It was so cold that I did my 40-minute prayer there, and then I quickly, and the sun was rising. That was also very nice. And that was the moment where I made the commitment, finally, to accept anyone. Because until that moment, I couldn't say that to God. And it was that last day of my condition that I could make that promise. So I was very happy that I could finally do that. That day, we had a lecture and we received these name cards, like a little plastic pouch with your name, your education, country, and we received three pieces of paper, one for you, one to give to your wife so they don't forget who you are, and then the other one to give to their records. So you had these three cards, your name and everything. And they also mentioned, some other information, like once you leave the matching room, you're matched. So please don't leave the matching room if you change your mind or if you have some concerns. And I remember going into that lecture a bit late because I was doing my prayer and I came 1-2 minutes late and everyone was sat down, similar to now, with the sisters on that side and the brothers on this side. And I could just see, the back of the head. I haven't seen anyone's faces and I'm just thinking about my bag. I haven't seen anyone's face yet. And I'm like, who's staff? Who's a part? You don't know who's a staff, who's a participant until we got these name tags, but then no one wears them, like they put it away. So anyway, the big day. I started the next day alone doing my exercises. It was incredibly lonely. I saw other people also walking around praying. It was very strange because you're surrounded by so many people, and maybe you've experienced this, but you're surrounded by many people, but you feel alone. So everyone is there. Everyone is there for the same reason, but no one can help you. It's like an exam. You turn up to the exam, you can't help your friend out. But you're all there. You're all there for the same reason, and you have to do it right now. You must face the task alone. It's like there's a door in front of you, and you can either go in now or not. Life is often like that. Hey, I saw the other people pacing around, thinking, praying. After breakfast, we were told to get dressed in our suits and wait around in the lobby. People were talking in groups, but I sat alone. So we started getting on the coaches, and we finally got on. And the coach was really like, if you've been up that road to the palace, it's like a mountain road. You're going like this, right? Like a snake. It takes forever, especially when you're about to get matched. So it was like a roller coaster going up, just wait. You have too much time. Like, oh my God, come on. And I was wondering, what does the bus driver think? Who, he's just get on the bus, let's go. He was just going about his day while everyone on board was terrified. Um, and I remember thinking, I wonder how True Mother will decide. I hope she decides for me. Because some of the previous matchings, she would, do some wild cards. Wild cards like random. She would be like, okay, you decide. Or now we do like with this, the thumb thing. So I was hoping Mother would just decide. The palace. So getting off the coach, it almost felt like deja vu. I got off and I was like, I've been here before. Because I had been there 2 years prior for Father Sunhwa ceremony. But it was, it was a very, very different, it's like everything looks the same, but everything feels different. It's like going back to your childhood home or something, and you have your wife and kids, and it's like everything it looks the same, but it doesn't feel the same. So I knew the white stone architecture. I even gone inside the palace. I knew the 3 big marble staircases that would be there. And then I walked into a large ballroom where music was playing. And everyone had already been seated because they were doing the eldest brothers and elder sisters first often. And so it was the same like here. Everyone was sitting on the floor with sisters on the left and brothers on the right. And the first thing that you noticed was there were about 200 people, and the sisters were going all the way back to the end of the room, and the brothers were maybe like this group of people here, like 40 people, 40, 50 people. So there were about 150 sisters and maybe 50 brothers. You could notice it, like when you walked in the room. And there were many staff hanging around the room. I didn't recognize nearly any of them, just Geros I knew. And many Korean and Asian staff talking amongst one another. I sat down right at the back of the brothers' side, and then a few other brothers came, slowly and sat next to me. And I checked their name tags, 20 years old, the same age as me, from Japan. Okay, cool. It was then that I realized, I already mentioned this, that I was the only white candidate. I saw the whole room, and nearly everyone was Korean or Japanese. I wasn't sure how long we'd be in this room or what the schedule was. Everyone seemed to be waiting for something, including the staff. Then one Korean leader started speaking about the principle, and he was speaking up here like I am now. And he suddenly got a phone call. And very suddenly, he said, we're going to proceed with the matching. We're going to start. But True Mother is not coming. She will watch via video feed remotely. There were quite a few gasps around the room. Like, instantly, he said, oldest brother, stand up. 30 years and older, stand up. They hesitated, just like you are doing now. And he said, then stand up. And then they stood up, terrified. And sisters, 30 years. Who is 30 years older? And the sisters stood up right away. They were both standing up. It was a very emotional moment for everyone else watching, because we knew that they were going first. It was like seeing your brothers go into a war. So they said that the brothers can choose first. Go. And just like that, there was a pause, and the first brother, he there was an explosion of applause as the first match was decided. They bowed and they went up the middle of the walkway. So that was the start, and they kept going. They kept going. And if the brother couldn't decide or wasn't sure, he went to the back behind us. But slowly, all the brothers were being matched, and there's a lot of sisters. So they continued, and we moved forward until it was the youngest group, 21 and 20-year-old brothers, and then I think 21, 20-year-old sisters. And the group it was hilarious. It was like 10 brothers maybe, and 50 sisters. Okay. And there were 3 rows of sisters. Okay. So there were. Okay. So it was. And I was going at the front. What we would do. And if you want to be you put your hand up. And sometimes so I was at the front of this row of like a snake. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Too many sisters. That's the summary. So yeah, we went around the sisters like I said. I was at the front. I thought to myself, I need to focus on their face. Try to remember, after I look at everyone, the face. And so I went round the first time. I didn't remember anyone's face. Okay. Damn! You have one more time to go around. They usually did 2 times. And then they asked the sisters to choose. So I had one more time to go around. I was like, okay, I need to focus, look at the face, okay? And all the sisters are looking down, so it's not easy to look at. But yeah, actually on that first time, I remember thinking, okay, I don't remember anyone's face, but there was one girl, I remembered her face. Like she looked at me, okay? No one else looked at me, she looked at me. But I need to focus now and look at everyone's face. I went around again, and again, like that same girl, she looked at me. I'm like, okay, I don't have a strong feeling about anyone, just that girl. I continued, and suddenly, oh yeah, I thought, should I go back? I saw her face, I continued. Should I go back and put my hand out? 2 times she looked at me. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, like Osman just coming out of nowhere, this I think Korean staff older lady, she came up to me like this. Which country you want? And I said, oh, Japanese. And she took me straight like this. Straight to Atsumi, the same girl who was looking at me. And so for me, that was good enough. Okay, that's clear. I put my hand up. And she accepted. This was yeah, so she accepted, and we went to the other room. There's, if you've been to some workshops or some leaders meetings, there's two of these big, beautiful ballrooms. They look almost the same. One of them was where the matching was happening, and we went over to the other one to talk. And you left the matching room and you entered this other room. It was like heaven and hell, you know, like one room was hell, and then you go into this other room, everyone's sitting with the man and the woman together, like a movie, you know, talking like, ah. And this was yes, this was the first conversation. You can see the name tag. That's kind of what it looked like. And you know, the first conversation was okay. So the funny thing is that this room is actually kind of interesting because we came back to this room 1 year later together to give True Mother the flowers on one workshop. So this is the same room, and True Mother wasn't there, but then we could finally see True Mother. And the funny thing is that Atsumi was actually supposed to do this in the other room with a Korean brother, but she couldn't, obviously, because she didn't come. So very interesting. And then, yes, this is the first time we introduced ourselves, and you can imagine the conversation, like, how many brothers and sisters do you have? So we did everything, but just after we made the decision, and we spoke in kind of English, and yeah, I felt that this was absolutely the right person. And somehow, you know, through that whole difficult journey to get here, I found her. And then the atmosphere in this room was, like I said, completely different, full of laughter and joy. I can give you some time to read that if you need it. But then also this picture is funny because this is on the coach down. And, you know, we went on the coach up alone, and then down we're sitting next. I was totally ready to sit alone again because I was not used to sitting next to a girl. So it was very strange. I was like, oh, okay, they're expecting us to sit next to the match now. Okay. Like they didn't explain that. I was like, right. And just like that, everyone went from coming there alone to being there together with someone else. It was quite wonderful and bizarre at the same time. And then this is also one of the first pictures. You can see I'm actually wearing her. The men's ones were blue and the women's ones were pink. I was wearing her name tag in my name tag. And she was, yeah, actually 20, but they put her as 21 for some reason. Yeah, so that was kind of the bizarre story. We got blessed 3 days later, and then we went back to our own countries. She went to Japan, I went to the UK, and then we started to, you know, get to know each other a bit better. But yeah, I left Korea with an incredible experience, and it was a period in my life where I felt very close to God. as I mentioned, I went through many difficulties, but then also, like a lot of advice. People say like, I want to go to True Parents Matching. I don't know if that's good for you, or like, no, that's great. Like many conflicting pieces of advice from family and friends. But for me, the most important learning from the whole thing was to really tune out the noise and to ask God first, like, what do you think? And we very rarely just ask him, like, what do you think? And so, yeah, this was a period in my life where I was able to ask God that, and I was able to listen. And yeah, it's still one of my proudest memories. And yeah, thank you all for listening. I did want to say, if there's any young people who are thinking about getting matched or blessed and you need like an older brother's advice or just someone to listen to, definitely ask me. I'm more than happy to help you. There's many difficulties that young people go through preparing. But yeah, muito obrigado. Please join me in prayer. Dearest, beloved Heavenly Parent, true parents, we are all coming here today to be with you, our Heavenly Parent. We come here today on this Sunday here in Lisbon Church, here in Portugal. Many communities around the world are doing Sunday service and trying to connect with you, Heavenly Parent. Our world is in a very difficult spot right now with, the current war in Ukraine and many different things going on, the political situation in America as well. We pray that we can find some peace and some internal peace, Heavenly Parent, to focus on whatever challenge is in front of us right now, and trust you that you will guide us to find the right path forward. We pray that the Lisbon community can grow and that they can find confidence and strength in the sermon that I gave today, which is a testament to your power and your ability to guide young people in our church and around the world. Heavenly Parent, true parents, we want to thank you for today, and thank you that everyone could come here. And we pray all this in my name, Schroder, bless and your family, Archie.
Eu acho que ainda estamos todos um bocadinho debaixo desta magia que se criou, que foi recordar a experiência de tantos de nós, não é? Desta tradição que nos foi dada pelos verdadeiros pais, que é esta fé cega que nos levava até ao matching, e toda esta expectativa e ao mesmo tempo medo. Foi maravilhoso, Michael, really amazing. Ouvir esta experiência foi verdadeiramente incrível. E pronto, chegou o momento, não sei se há alguns anúncios.